Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It has been a while since I've made one of these, so bear with me as I get back into the swing of it. Today we're going to be doing a case solve. It's a very special case because it's Many Maps of Merlin Part 1, which you may already know is a case that I have actually written. This is a free case you can go grab for yourself at fmwc.uk. It's a bit of a training case for map cases in general, and I wrote this as a training case along with part 2, which is in the same file, to try and get people used to the weird things that happen in competitive Excel. But first, if you're new to the channel, hello, welcome, I'm Elliot. I make videos all about Excel, normally, despite this little break recently, and today we're focusing on competitive Excel, which is a fantastic community and a fantastic branch of the Excel world. We are quickly coming up to the live finals of FMWC UK, our first year of the UK chapter of the Competitive Excel World Championship, and we are so excited for this, so I thought I had better get on and finally make this video talking about how I approach map cases using the training case I built as a guide. Apologies if you can hear a bit of noise in the background. It is very hot in the UK today. I've got my fan on. We don't have air conditioning in most buildings over here, so I think my fan is actually blowing directly into my microphone. I will try and edit that out as much as possible, but apologies if you can hear it. Without any further ado, let's jump into the case. I'm giving myself 30 minutes, as is standard for these things, but we might go a bit over as I am going to be talking through some of these things. So, this is Many Maps of Merlin. It is actually 2 cases. As I've said, you can grab it for free at fmwc.uk or excel-esports.uk, which I think is the website we are moving to shortly. The wise wizard Merlin, defender of the kingdom of Camelot, friend to Arthur Pendragon, magnificent mage of mystery, has since a terrible dark presence. She lurks across the land and must be found. He has gathered the scrolls and maps to hunt down this scourge, so he might send her back to whatever dark dimension whence she came. These cases have been designed to help you get used to some of the ways in which map cases are presented and the kind of challenge they pose. Map-based problems tend to be amongst the hardest challenges found in the Excel World Championship and its local chapters. There are a dozen quests. I think that's no longer true. I think there's now 14 quests and 10 side quests, might still be true, across the 2 separate cases. Case 1, which is what we're doing in this video, will help you get used to the fundamentals of looking things up in a map and navigating around it. And Case 2, which I won't post on my channel but on the FMWC UK channel, which I'll link below, I will record straight after this, and that takes those ideas a step further with some of the more complicated ideas that can arise in these kinds of cases. I've included some hints to try and help people through this. Hopefully you'll find that okay. If you didn't, or if you just want to see what I was thinking when I was writing those, that's what we're going to look at this today. The hardest quests are meant only for the bravest of warriors. These cases have 1 scroll, which is essentially a one-dimensional map, and 3 maps. So a lot of extra data, but as it's a training case, we'll let that slide. In case 1, we use the scroll protection in quest 1, Merlin's quarters in quest 2 and side quest 5, East Camelot for most of the levels, and the Battle of Camelot for the final one. There's an additional seat, Beware the Dark One, which contains instructions for side quest 5. Make haste, make haste, noble warrior, and be true, for only the valiant and the pure of heart can claim the Holy Grail, recover Excalibur, and protect us from the Dark One. I'm going to come back to these side quests. These are essentially bonuses if you're used to the normal format. These can be done at any time. A lot of these don't rely on levels, so these 2 don't rely on the levels themselves. These 2 require you knowing a little bit about it, about quests 5, 4, and 6. But I think most of these are actually just about the stuff that's going on in those levels rather than needing that logic. But we will start with quest 1. Quest 1 is based around this scroll here, which is this scroll of protection. So that's what we're going to be using. His first defense against the Dark One, Merlin has retrieved an ancient scroll. It contains a spell that promises protection to those who can decode it. For each shell given, what is the corresponding line from the scroll of the protection sheet? The scroll is found in column B. Can you find the rows we need? So example 1, the cell B3 is the first line of the scroll and reads, "Oh." So this is a little hint that I wrote saying that you might wish to use indirect or a lookup approach. Let's have a little go at that. So the indirect function essentially lets you take a cell name and use that. So I like to start just by doing equals and clicking on something I want. So I can get this name, which sometimes the syntax can be a little bit different depending on how you're approaching it. So we're going to wrap this in an indirect. And then we want to replace the B3. I'm going to put this all as a string or a bit of text. But we want to replace the B3 with whatever is in this cell, which is actually B3. But if we copy that down, we get our answers there. An alternative way to do this, I'm just going to cut these across. Alternative way to do this would be to try and split out the numbers from the letters in this. You could use regex if you're so inclined, which is a great way of doing it, but let's keep it simple. Let's just type a couple in. 3, 25, 4, 9, and I'm going to press Control and E and see if Flash Fill can work it out, which it seems it has done. And then actually, because all we're doing is looking up the numbers here, we could either use an index or an XLookup. So I'm going to XLookup this number in this list, making sure I lock those references with F4, returning from there, making sure I lock that again, and that will also give us the same answers, he hopes. So there we go, 50 points in. I've spent quite a lot of time chatting, but let's get a move on. From Humble Dwellings, Quest 2. Merlin has many objects in his quarters, some mundane, some magical, and some just anachronistic. Help Merlin order his belongings in the Merlin's Quarter tab. It is easy to do this manually, but can you find a way to do it programmatically? This may help you later on. Which icon can be found in each of the cells below? For example, G11 contains the shooting star icon. So Merlin's Quarters we can see here. As I've said, you could do this manually. You could go to O10, copy what's in that, and paste that in here. And that would get us the answers. But we want to try and be a little bit more programmatic about this, because when we get to some of these bigger maps, we're going to want a way around it. So for now, first thing that we could do is we could do like we did before with indirect. So let's just grab something from Merlin's Quarters to give us the format we want. Indirect. Turn that into a string and get rid of the cell name. And then just add the cell name to the end. I think that is actually there. There we go. Indirect, just like before. So that would be one way of approaching this. Let's just check those are all correct. Yep, 100% for level 2. Fantastic. Let's pull those out just a little bit. So I'm just going to pull out 11, 10, 8. There we go. That gives us our rows. And if I do GORF, let's make sure that says O. Will Flash Fill work it out? It will indeed. Fantastic. So that gives us our row number and our letter number. So we can do this as a two-way XLookup as well. I'm going to just pop those there so they can get in the way. So first, we're going to look up row 11 in these indexes here, returning from the entire map. And we're going to lock that there. And that gives us everything in row 11. And then we can use a second XLookup. So we can wrap this whole thing in another XLookup. I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. First, I'm going to pull through these just so you can see a little bit more detail what I'm talking about. So there are the letter names across the top. So essentially what we want to do is we want to look up this letter name in this list, returning whatever we got from the row number, and that should give us the intersection of those two, which is great. So we could just go about it in this way. We could insert an extra column here. Let's pull these out a bit here and let's pull that up. We could just do it like this, lock that to there. That would work absolutely fine, and then drag these down. That should give us all the same answers. And it does. But you can actually take this one step further, and rather than doing it like that, you can take the entire thing that you've got here. Let's just pop that in there. We'll give us a spell error for now. We're going to wrap that in an XLookup. We're going to look up our name in our list here, and then we're going to return from the result of that first XLookup. And that's just another way of doing it as well. A little bit neater, a little bit more confusing. I appreciate some people struggle with two-way XLookups, so you can break it out like this as well. Quest 3, The People's King. Well, I never voted for him. King Arthur is on a quest to visit all the people of Camelot. He can currently be found on cell AH27 of the East Camelot map. He can move one cell at a time orthogonally, up, down, left, right. He cannot move diagonally. Additionally, he must always stay on the path. How many moves must he make to reach each of the target cells below? Assume the king always starts in cell AH27. Example 3. The entrance to Clucking Sodbury is found at S25. King Arthur must walk left for 4 cells, then up 2 cells, and then left for a further 11 cells to reach S25, adding up to 17. Let's have a look. So AH27, there's our king. Clucking Sodbury is here. So he has to walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 plus 2 plus 11, 17. Staying on the path, can't move diagonally, so that's what we're doing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm actually going to move it right to the start, just because that's going to be easier for going back and forth between. Now, there are only 10 levels here, so we could try to do this manually, but let's have a go at doing it a little bit more programmatically. Following paths is a common and tricky question style with many approaches that can make it simpler. Most approaches will involve taking a copy of the map, as we have done, and calculating the distance for each cell. All being considered, you could solve each manually, making a few notes along the way. Visually, it's not too difficult, however, the case author prefers, that's me, a semi-manual approach. While this may sound slow and time-consuming, there's a trick that can speed this up. So, we're going to start by setting our King Arthur as 0. And then I could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'm lazy and don't like doing this. What we can actually do is select all of these at once, press equals, use the arrow key to say take the value to the right, and add 1. Now if we press enter, it's just going to do that for there, which is not what we want. But if instead we did cell to the right plus 1 and press control and enter, that's going to do the relative calculation for each of the cells we highlighted. But we can actually do this to multiple regions at once. So anytime we're heading left, which will be these cells here, this one, this one, this one. Let's have a look. We're going to head left all along here. We're going to head left all along here. And we're going to head left all along here. All of these cells we want to take from the cell to the right and add 1. Now at the minute, that's going to just give us some numbers that aren't quite right because we've not filled in the other cells, but let's fix that now. So now we're going to do anything where we're moving up. So we're going to move up all along these. We're going to move up on each of these. We're moving up along here, and here. These ones we're moving up, and let's see, that's all moving down. So each of these, we're taking the cell below, and we're adding 1, making sure we press Control and Enter to apply that relative formula. Some people do like to do this with circular references. I think that's a little bit complicated. So now we're just going to do all the ones where we're moving to the right. So all of these ones here, all moving to the right. These are all moving to the right. And sometimes you have to do this a couple of times, you might miss some. So they're going to take their value from the left, Control and Enter. And now finally, all these other ones should be where we're moving down. So here we're definitely moving down, and then we're moving down all the way along here. So that's going to take from the cell above and add 1. Now we've got some formatting issues, but we can see those are actually still numbers, so that's fine. I'm going to go back to case 1, and I'm going to use indirect here. We're going to say indirect. Let's take East Camelot just to get our reference, turn that into a string, and then replace the cell name with our target cell name. Let's see, has that worked? Fantastic. I was actually pretty proud of all these ridiculous English style names. Grumbo over Edge, the Blisterings, Summerford Sands, obviously they're both in the desert. Grumbo over Edge is in the mountains. Lower Bunsley, Clucking Sodbury with all the chickens, Crumplewick, Bunsley Upton, bracken stump amongst the forest, and a drift bay. I was quite pleased with all of those, so just wanted to point those out, really. Seek and ye shall find. Quest 4. How are we doing? Well, we're 15 minutes in. This is probably going to go over, but it is because we are talking about it as we go. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. Paulo Coelho. Each creature in East Camelot yearns for something. For each of the creatures in the starting cells below, what's the minimum number of moves they must make to find the item they desire in the listed target cell? These creatures can move one cell at a time orthogonally. They cannot move diagonally. Movement is not blocked by other items, nor do you have to worry about different terrains for this quest. Each of the creatures seeking something are unique in this quest. So because this is done with starting cells and target cells, we don't actually need to go into finding what these things are. We know there's only one of each. We don't need to worry about all of that. We just use these cells. However, just for now, I'm going to pull through what each of these things are using the same technique we've used before. Because I thought I was being quite funny. The butterfly is looking for the sunflower, the bat's looking for the ghost, the king's looking for Excalibur, Merlin's looking for the Holy Grail, Morgan Le Fay is looking for the fleur de lis, the bear is looking for the nest with the eggs, the unicorn is looking for a beetle, can't remember why I thought that was funny, but the zombie is looking for brains, the eagle is looking for worms, the troll is looking for the goblin, and the mosquito is looking for the man. That was me thinking it was funny. Then I had to hide it all because I was trying to make this a little bit more approachable. So I just wanted to point those out. Ego-driven or what? So, let's see. The butterfly, what did we say for this? We said, as noted in the question, we don't need to worry about movement being blocked, which is something you sometimes have to worry about in these sorts of cases. We can move orthogonally, up, down, left, or right. We can't move diagonally. Moving in this manner is often called the tactic half distance. That's because if we go to cell Q29 with our butterfly, if we wanted to move here, that's one space, one space, one space, one space. But if we wanted to move to any of these spaces, they would be two. So you have to go left, right, and then up, or up and then right. It doesn't make a difference which way you go about it. So, to work this out, first of all, we want to know, essentially, if we're going from here to here, it's how many down or up do we have to go, and then how many left or right do we have to go. So, first of all, let's just pull out these starting cells. We're going to pop them there. 29, 28, 27, 33, Control and D gets us a flash fill, and Q, F, AH, and I thought the flash fill was going to do it without me even prompting it there, but I must have pressed the wrong button. And let's do the same with those target cells. 33, 26, 34, R, G, S, N, and it has put out the double letters, which is great. So first things first, we want to know what is this, take away this, and that's going to give us, it has actually done it as numbers, which is great. That's given us a minus number. We don't want a minus number, so I'm going to write abs in front of it, which makes minus numbers positive and keeps positive numbers positive, so it doesn't matter if we've done that the other way around. That would still give us our value of 4. So that's our vertical movement, and then our horizontal movement is going to be, well, it's going to be the difference in these, and that's going to be a little more tricky to do. You could do equals column of indirect of the name. That would give you a number, which you could then take off. I'm just going to do the index of this array here, which has got all of our names in it. That's not what I want to do, is it? It's Xmatch. Xmatch, finding where it is in the list. We want to find Q in that list there. and that's position 16. And same again with the position of our R. And again, just going to wrap that in an absolute function there. And then we're just going to add those up. So that's plus that, and so on. That should give us our answers there. Probably need to pick up speed a little bit, so this isn't too long of a video. What have I done? What have you done? So we do have some complicated things left to go. But there we go. Okay. Where to next? Spoiled for choice. I think I'm seeing double. Each creature in East Camelot yearns for something. For each of the creatures found in the starting cells, what's the minimum number of moves they must make to find the item they desire? The desired items appear in more than one cell this time, or listed below. We need the smallest number of moves to the target cell. This quest follows on from quest 4, but each item appears more than once in the map. Just again, I'm just going to have a look at what we set those as. And they are the same thing in each case, so I'm just going to do a text before to get the first one in each case. So the woman is looking for a saw. The mermaid's looking for the whale. The owl's looking for a cat, as is the man. I don't know why I put the penguin to the coconut. I think these ones had less thought in them. I think I was trying to be less funny here, but there's some funny ones. The dragon's looking for the bank, or the dragon's looking for the diamond. The koala's looking for a log. The lucky unicorn looking for the lucky clover. The hedgehog looking for a leaf pile. So there is some logic here. I think I changed some of them just to try and make these quests go a little bit from easy to hard. So these easy ones you could do manually, which is absolutely fine. No harm in getting a partial solution. But this last one, obviously, you wouldn't want to do it manually. So let's try and find a way of doing this. So now we're probably going to want to find a way of splitting this out into numbers, and letters, without having to do the flash fill because we have so many of them. Or we could go with that indirect approach we had before. So let's start with that. Let's go starting cell row, starting cell column, and I'm just going to do row of indirect of this and column of indirect of this. Because it doesn't really matter if it's based on the map or not, as long as we are consistent and AM is one step away from AL and so on. So we're going to start with that. We're going to text split, as we hinted at before, these target cells with a semicolon, which is going to give all of them. Even on the big long ones, that will give us all of them. And for each of these, we can say, I think here I'm going to use a let. So we're getting into some complicated territory here, but bear with me. So let lets you define your own variables. How else could we do this without a let? We could do this by building a data model, putting things through, would be absolutely fine as well. But let lets us simplify things down. So cell ref, cell ref. So for now, all this is doing is it's defining something called cell ref, which is that function we talked about before, and then it's returning that function, which is absolutely fine because that's how we want to start. We want the row number, so we want the row of indirect of cell ref. And if we see, we will now get 17 and 18, as we would expect. Column, we want the column of indirect of cell ref. And that's going to give us the column number. So we can say find the absolute value of the row, take away our starting cell row. Let's call that row diff. Let's just check that row diff. So, is 16 1 away from 17? It is. Is 18 2 away from 16? It is. Now we're going to do the same thing with column diff. Abs of column, take away our starting cell column. Again, all that abs is doing is turning it to a positive, which is what we want. And then for each of these, we want the row diff plus the column diff. And that's going to give us 14 for the first one and 12 for the second one. So 12 should be our answer in our example, which it is. So that just means that we want the minimum of all of this. So I'm just going to pop that outside the let for now. So we want 12 for that. Let's pull that down like that. Now you could go down the data table route for this. That would be a perfectly fine way of doing it. But let's use a let because we are getting quite far through this case. A new direction, quest 6. We are not going to finish this in time, I'm afraid, but I think we are exploring some really good ideas. A new direction, he likes to move it. A common theme in map-based Excel challenges is movement based on arrows. Each arrow represents a single movement. The movement can be orthogonal or diagonal, so we've added in these diagonal movements now. For each creature in the starting cells below, what's the name of the icon in the cell they finish in after their movement? Use the East Camelot map for this quest. Each of the creatures whose movements you are tracking are unique. Their movements will not take them beyond the map, nor you need to worry about terrain types for this quest. For a hint, this is a very difficult type of challenge if you've not seen it before. If you have seen it before, then it starts to become a little bit more familiar. As ever, there are multiple ways to approach this. The easiest way to do this is to convert the arrows to two values, one for horizontal, one for vertical. Then you combine that with the way you are and then get back to your end location. Other people like to go to more advanced places with this. Diamond Early likes to use multiplying the positions by thousands or 10,000. I like using the complex function. I won't use the complex function now. Excuse me. We will start with this easier approach. So we're going to start with indirect of this, and I'm going to get our row number from it and our column number. Now, a really bad example for me here in that I've given them both as 3. That is bad practice because in an example we shouldn't have this level of confusion as far as I'm concerned, but let's roll with it. So our movement is down, and I've actually given us a nice little movement chart. Lots of people like to build these into pre-built lambdas or helper cases. Make sure we lock these references. I've been kind here and given it. You won't always give it in a case. Now I've actually got horizontal movement first in this, so let's swap these around. So let's just pop that there for a second. There we go, because we've got our horizontal movement first, which is our columns. So now all we're going to do is we're going to take these two values and add them to these two values. So 3 plus 0 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4. And we can then use this. Let's use the address function. Our row number is this vertical movement, which is 4, and our column number is this one. But we don't want the cell, we want what's in that cell. So let's now use indirect on this in our East Camelot map, turning this into a string and replacing our cell name with our new cell name. And it doesn't matter that we've got the dollar signs in here because of the way that indirect function is working. It's being calculated from the address function, so that should be fine. Now we need to turn these symbols back into the words. Luckily, we have a nice list on the East Camelot map. So over here we have our icons and we have their descriptions. Let's make sure we lock these here. That does look like a chapel, that does look like an ant, so far that looks good. And let's just fill these down here, and that is looking good. Quest 7, A villainous horizon. What's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster? Is it a monster? This quest uses a new map, the Battle of Camelot. The enemy has been spotted a short ride north of Camelot, hiding in the trees. Luckily, it's well known that monsters aren't the brightest and will run headfirst into a tree without a second thought. Each time a monster moves, they will move 1 square south, i.e. B2 goes to B3. For the monster in the starting cell, how many times can they safely move without hitting a tree? No monster will start in the same cell as a tree, and all monsters will hit a tree. If a monster starts 1 cell north of a tree, the answer is 0. For example, in Phi 6, there are a tree 3 cells south. It can therefore move 2 times. Let's check that. In Phi 6, we can move safely twice. Once, twice. We cannot move a third time, so the answer is twice. We are about to run out of time. I'm going to keep this video going. Appreciate I've not managed to do it in 30 minutes. I think you will appreciate that's because we've been talking about it as we go, and I would rather explain how to do these things rather than rush through, as this is meant to be a training case. For a hint, unhide the rows below. Can you model a single step south and check it is safe? Can you extend this to 2 steps? How will you know when a tree has been hit? How do you then work out how many safe movements will be made? So let's work this out. Let's start with getting our row number here, which is going to be, let's just use flash fill D1510. That's looking good. And then we're going to do phi di, not control R, that's not what I wanted. Just check that we're getting ARs and ADs on those ones. We are fantastic. Okay, so let's work this out then. First, we want to check if 1 step is safe. So we want to move 1 step down. I'm going to set it up. I'm just going to do it like this for now, and then we'll come back to setting it up properly. I have run out of time, so it is over 30 minutes, so I'll try and keep this brief because we still have the bonuses to go. So we can add 1 to go south. Let's just double check that that is south. On our thing here, north is up, so south is moving down the map, increasing that row number. So if we wanted to change this into the name of the cell 1 step south, that would be this one here, and then we can change this into the indirect of Battle for Camelot, turn that into a string, get rid of that first bit there. That's going to give us an error because we need to add in our phi and then add it in that there. So there is nothing in that cell. Let's just check that. So phi 7, if we go to Battle for Camelot, phi 7 is blank, which is why that's a 0. Now, it doesn't say anything about hitting monsters, it just talks about hitting trees. Now, let's have a look. We can see we've hit trees in this one, so we know this is 0, we can't take any steps forward. Let's just move this out 1 column, because that's going to help us get our final answer in a minute. So, for now, all we want to do is, if this equals, I'm going to grab this value here because we know that's a tree, I'm going to highlight it, and press F9 to turn it into that emoji. So if it's the tree, apparently I need help with if functions, then we want 0, otherwise let's say 1 for now. That's how we're going to start. The next thing I'm going to do is model this out for more steps. So we go back to our map. Battle for Camelot, we can see there are 50 steps because it starts at 2 and then to 51, so that's 50. So we know they can't move south more than 50 times. It's actually going to be way less than that. We've been told they always hit a tree, so let's just keep this simple and do it like this. So I'm going to change, it should be here. I'm going to change our logic a little bit here. I'm going to change this to say, rather than +1, we're going to take this. I'm going to lock it to the row. We're making sure we have our $sign for the row. And that means that we should then be able to move 2 steps down. And that's giving us a value error. Excuse me, these need to be locked to the column. I should be able to move 2 steps down, 3 steps down, which we know 3 steps is a tree because the answer is true here, and so on all the way across to 50 steps. Just going to bring that down. I think that's as far as we need to go. Yes, it is. Excellent. So now, rather than just comparing each of these steps individually, we just need to find where the first tree is. Luckily, that's what XMaps does, or even what XLookup does. So let's use XLookup to start with. We're going to take this value, use F9 again to turn it into a tree. We're going to look that up in this entire row here, returning from this locked result. So the third step is the tree. Equally, we could have said XMatch the tree in the array, and then we wouldn't need our steps there. Now that's giving us 3 because the third step hits the tree, but we want to know how many safe movements there are, so we need to take one away. Oops. So we need to take one away from this there. And if we pull that down, we should still get 0 for our answer there. And then if we pull this down like this, we're going to get a spill error because I manually entered one, and there are our answers. So we can see this little monster here really tried in B7. B7. This little skeleton tried really hard, but finally hit a tree right down the bottom. So let's have a look. How long have I been recording? I'm not entirely sure. 39 minutes. I think I had a couple of false starts at the start, so it's probably about 35 minutes on this recording. That's okay. Let's move on to these side quests. Side quest 1 says it's easy. It says how many animals are in the East Camelot map. Count all the icons on the map that are marked as animals in the map's icon key. So let's go to the East Camelot map. We're just going to start with count ifs the entire map. Lock that map, and we're going to pull the icon in. So it says there's 1 right arrow. It says there are 10 tombstones, it says there are 18 houses, it looks like there are 71 mountains. That all looks pretty reasonable. And now we want to sum ifs this range based on whether or not this column here equals, comma, is animals. If I can spell. 166. Let's see, is that correct? It is. Fantastic. I'm not sure what's gone on with my formatting for my little live scoring thing. I'll try and fix that for the next video. Seems like, oh, grey ticked already, so I need to work out what's going on there. But we can see here we've got our tick. Which animal appears in the starting cell in 2 different games in Quest 5? Now we actually already know that because we talked about it and we said there's the dragon. Where's Quest 5? There we go. We said the dragon's looking for the bank and the dragon's looking for the diamond, so we know it is the dragon. In East Camelot, how many cells will Poseidon have to travel to reach the Kraken? Poseidon can move diagonally and orthogonally, so up, down, left and right and diagonal, but can only move through water. Now this would be, if it was a full level, you'd have to go model this and work things out, and that can be quite complicated. But we know that Poseidon, if we can find Poseidon is this symbol here. And we know that the Kraken is the one that looks like a squid. So let's have a look. He's going to be in the water. Where is Poseidon? That's a mermaid. That's a merwoman. There's Poseidon because he's got the trident. Where's the Kraken? It's up here. So he can move diagonally, but he can't move over land. So we'll start going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. We can move diagonally 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was a good guess. There we go. 20. Was that 20 or was that just 10? Let's start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 25. Excellent. If the B in cell 028 of East Camelot follows all the directions from Quest 6 in the order they appear, excluding the example, what does it land on? Type the name of the icon. None of these movements will take the B outside the confines of the map. So let's go down to that level. We can see we've actually got all of our movements here that things are doing. So we want to add up this whole list here. And this whole list here. And we can see in total it's moving 2 across and 2 down. So we can actually just go and look that up in the map. We could try and do it properly, but let's look in the map for itself. 28. And it's moving 2 and 2, which means it goes 2 across and 2 down. That can't be right then, can it? I see what's happened here. It says, excluding the example. We have included the example. Like fools, I've fallen right into my own trap. Where are the arrows? There we go. Let's copy those down to there. Okay, it looks like we are moving 2 to the right and 1 down. So we land on the butterfly. Can I spell the word butterfly today? That is a question. There we go. And finally, side quest number 5. The full instructions for this bonus can be found in the Beware the Dark One tab. Ignore the Sensing the Dark One for this case. Your final answer should be the total number of movements the Dark One needs to make it across the 3 main maps to reach her food. So, Beware the Dark One. The Dark One draws near. Now, obviously, we shouldn't have this much text in an actual competition case, but it's a training case, so let's bear with it and cut some slack for myself. Why should I hold myself to the same standards I hold other people? The Dark One draws near. Merlin can sense her. He can almost hear her cheeky laughter mocking him. He cannot see her on the maps, but he knows she is there somewhere, hidden. But she is weak. She needs to read 3 times before she becomes unstoppable, bringing pain to all that look to excel. And Merlin has hidden her food. There is a creature hiding in each of the 3 maps. She is the Dark One. You will not see her to the naked eye, nor on the icon keys list, but she is there, waiting. She is sly. She can move diagonally as well as orthogonally, i.e. all 8 directions. She cannot swim or climb the wall in row 44. She can move into any non-water, non-wall cell without worrying about the contents. What's the total amount of cell movement she needs to make to reach her food? There are a number of hints in the case to the Dark One's identity. She's a creature feared by many, and if you do not know her yet, consider yourself lucky. You don't need the hints to find her, though they may reveal her identity to you. Instead, check each of the maps for an icon that isn't listed. Beware though, she's a master of deceit, and visual inspection alone will not be enough to find her. So let's start with Merlin's quarters, because that's the smallest map. I'm going to start by using toCol to pull this whole thing into a column. And I'm then going to wrap that in unique. Which will take out any duplicates. So we can see here a list of everything that appears in the map, including the blanks. So let's filter this list based on whether or not they are in the list to start with. So is number X match this in this? So this will give us a true if they are in that list and a false otherwise. We want to reverse this because we want the things that aren't listed, which should give us the blank and the dark one. It's Lana Banana. There were a few hints. Level 1's answers were oh, beware the evil one, Lana Banana. And on each of the maps, we do have her food, which if you look through, is called the food of the dark one, and it's a banana. So we could have worked that out. So let's find where Lana is. So I'm just going to take these, Control-Shift-3, so I can get the monkey here. So she is hidden here in cell S9. If we make her white, we'll be able to see her. Hello, Lana. And her food is all the way over here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm going to pop that answer there, and then I know it's in the same place in every map. East Camelot, where is our Lana Banana? She is hidden right here. And where is the banana? Shout if you see it. Oh wait, I can't hear you. Where is the banana? Let's go find a look for the food of the dark one. Take this value. It's all the way down here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 28 to get to there. Whoops, need to zoom in. And Battle of Camelot, there is the banana. Where is Lana hiding? Let's grab our Lana value from here and have a look. She is hiding on the bridge. So it said we couldn't move over the water. Doesn't really matter for this. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4. 34. So we should have... the answer should be this one plus this one plus this one, and there we go, 76 steps for the dark one in case 1. There we go, there we have it. Thank you for watching. Apologies, this has gone a little bit over what I planned. I think we're at about 45-minute mark. But hopefully you've seen that with a mix of a little bit of logic and a little bit of manual, bit of help from flash fill, these map cases aren't too scary. I appreciate case 2 is a little bit more difficult. It steps all of these things up. Make sure you tune in to fmwc.uk's channel. I'm going to share a full video there showing how to do part 2, including things like pulling out everything in the map and the locations so you can search more easily. But for now, for this, it was nice and easy to approach it the way that we did. Clearly I've messed something up because I've got my score as 1090. I think that's a mess up in my scoring in the final version, so apologies for that. It does look like we got everything right looking at those scores. So for now, thank you. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know if there was anything that you hadn't thought of in your own approaches to map cases or cases in general. And if you want to check out the FMWC UK live final, that will be on the first Saturday in September, the 6th, I want to say. We will be streaming that on the FMWC UK YouTube channel. Make sure you join us there. And if you're coming in person because you have qualified already, fantastic. Really well done to you. And I hope this helps you out on the day. But for now, though, that's all from me. So until next time, keep excelling.